Hello again, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Focus Vandalia. My name is Rich Hopkins. I'm the communications manager for the city, and we are coming to you today from the Vandalia Fire Station number 1 right here on Peters Pike, where crews are inside right now putting the finishing touches on Fire Prevention Month 2020. The biggest understatement of the year might just be that 2020 has been a non-traditional year for just about everything. With the threat of COVID-19 hanging over us all, many local events that bring people together have been canceled, including this year's Fire Open House. Vandalia Fire Chief Chad Follick says that even though the open house has been canceled, the important fire safety information wrapped around the event needs to be shared.
Typically our prevention week kickoff would have been our open house, but because of COVID restrictions, we've chose to move our open houses hopefully virtually here within the next couple of weeks. But we're working to get our message out via social media this year, just some fire safety tips for the kitchen, having the fire extinguisher close, and other means for putting out fires in the kitchen. And when a fire in the kitchen is too large for you to handle and it's time to get out. And then obviously we go back to the oldie but the goodie, make sure that the smoke detectors are all operational in the house.
With kitchen fires being the most common type of fire that crews get called on, Follick says there are some simple things you can do in the kitchen to reduce the risk, the most important of which is to stay put when cooking.
Fires in the kitchen at home are the #1 cause of home fires and injuries, according to the National Fire Protection Association. So we want to take the couple times over this next week to reinforce some of those kitchen safety techniques. And give you an opportunity to ask questions if you need to via our social media, or you can always call into the office and ask questions. We're doing limited visits to places where we may want to give some instruction, but if that's what you need, we have that ability as well.
Another good tip to consider involves your cookware. Whatever you cook with, make sure there's a lid nearby.
So keeping a lid close to us as one means of getting an incipient stage fire on the stovetop smothered out. So when you have a fire, you want to take the oxygen away from it. That's a very good way to do that, just by dropping the lid over top the stove, whatever's on the stovetop, a pan or a saucepan or whatever you have on the stovetop.
A good idea before turning on the stove is to make sure there's nothing touching those burners that could catch fire. Another major emphasis for kitchen safety is making sure your cooking area is child-proofed.
Well, first thing is, if you're going to child-proof cooking areas, is keeping the handles turned inward and not outward, keeping things out of reach. Develop those safe zones in the kitchen where kids are conditioned not to be when you're cooking, especially. This is one that's near and dear to my heart, because when my daughter was younger, she collided with my wife in the kitchen while she was cooking boiling water and obtained burns. So this one's a little closer to home for me. So definitely create those safe zones when they're very young, so they know not to be in the kitchen when you're cooking, not to be around the oven, the stove, what is a good tool and a bad tool, where they should keep their hands away from when things are hot, so that you don't ever have to worry about them undercutting you or being in that safe zone when you're cooking to begin with.
If you'd like more information on Fire Prevention Month, your best bet is to check us out on the web, vandaliaohio.org. From there, you can get safety tips for the kitchen and for the rest of the house as well. That's going to do it for this edition of Focus Vandalia. I'm Rich Hopkins. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.